right, guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. This is a post-match reaction, and Ollie's Tricky Reds have beaten Carlo Fantastico's Everton by 3-1. And once again, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with his back against the wall, pulls a rabbit out of the hat. Pochettino just can't get a look in, can he? Joining me for this post-match reaction is Barry, Mark, and Ollie. Lads, how are we feeling? How are we doing? Are we buzzing again?
Good.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Feeling better.
Early talking points. First of all, Mark, you go first. What do you feel?
I mean, to be honest with you, if there's anything you can guarantee is when Ollie's back is against the wall and his potential job is on the line, we could beat prime Barcelona and guarantee ourselves 3 points. So we played very well today. I think I think defensively, Maguire was outstanding today. And one time I'm always happy to talk to you, Karthik, is when Luke Shaw has a brilliant game, and he was phenomenal as well. And Fred as well. I said this to a couple of the other lads earlier that he just is a workhorse, and I know he makes sloppy passes and mistakes occasionally, and he's done that this season already. He's just brilliant to watch. I love his tenacity, and I love the fact that he is chasing those balls down to get them back, and he was brilliant. Martial's still a worry for me. Cavani got his first goal. That's brilliant. And something else I said earlier, I'm not one to jump on Pogba's back, but I honestly believe, and I know he only played 15, 20 minutes, but I just feel that the rest of the team don't work as hard. And as soon as Pogba was on, I just felt that he was frantic with the ball and lazy without the ball. And that's not me. I don't jump on his back. But I just felt today that we look more of a negative team when he comes on, and it's no doubt that this was a massive game for Ollie today, and the fact that Pogba was on the bench says it all for me, is what I feel. But anyway,
yeah, I agree. I think we started with Ollie's favourite midfield. I think that's clear to see now, especially as you said, Fred the workhorse. I love Fred. He's one of my favourite players in this United squad.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
He's fantastic. Barry, what do you make of the result? And as Mark sort of alluded to there, how important is it, do you think, for Ollie's job security? Have we lost Barry?
We might have lost him a little bit.
Right.
I
think Ollie's job was secure.
We might have lost Barry there. I'll go to Ollie for now. Barry, just give your internet a sec to catch up. Ollie, I'll throw that question to you.
Well, I thought we did brilliantly today. As for saving Ollie's job, I'm not sure this game would have had much bearing on that. I think, as we discussed in the preview, whether or not it is delaying the inevitable. But then again, we could go on a 14-15 game unbeaten run now. Who knows? That seems to be the sort of platform that we tend to do these things. I mean, I'm all for that. As we said, I'm not Ollie in or Ollie out. So I'm kind of hoping we do that. I'm a United supporter first and foremost. So any good results or good runs is good for us, as fans.
I'm loving this comment, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. That comment, when I saw you admit Shaw was ruining your talent agenda, and it was only my time before he's off for a few months. You know what? He played well. Sorry to interrupt you, Ollie. Carry on.
No, that's all right, mate. Well, Luke Shaw, it's good to see someone that angry about, coming off the pitch.
Yeah.
I thought, as leading on to another point, I thought Ollie did very well with the substitutions today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was working, so it didn't need changing. And it was just a case of who looks a bit leggy. He sort of nullified Iwobi when he came on by bringing Tuanzebe to, bite at his heels, which he did brilliantly, to be fair. As Mark was saying about Pogba, I thought it looked a bit desperate, to be honest with you. He was trying too much, it looked like he was trying to impress. But
yeah, exactly.
Hunger and desperation, chasing a dead cause. What's the point?
I just felt he looked exactly what you're saying, a bit desperate, but he looked very frantic when he had the ball, tries to do too much with it. And we've already said this so many times over the last few seasons that when he does as little as possible and the easy stuff, he's brilliant at that. And I feel like today that when he had the ball, he just looked frantic, and when he was off the ball, he became a little bit lazy for me. And again, I don't want anyone to jump on my back. I am not Pogba I'm not against Pogba in any way. I love him as a player and I want him to be playing brilliantly all the time. But I just felt that today we just looked a little bit worse when he came on. That's just what I felt.
Well, I think we were all a bit leggy by then. It was a case of job done, see the game out, and then we got a lucky goal. Well, I shouldn't say lucky goal. It was brilliantly, built and taken. But
Great finish,
more,
great finish.
They'd given
I'm
up
back.
by then.
Yeah, we've got Barry back. Just want to ask him this question. The comment says here, this result shouldn't delay the inevitable. A win today, but there's no doubt there's more patchy performances to come. Barry, what do you think? Do you think this is just going to delay the inevitable, or do you think now we can try and push on?
I think, again, we'll try and push on. I don't think that we're going to see Ollie leaving in the near future. But is this a Band-Aid over the cracks? I'm not sure what Ollie's response was when I lost the signal. I'm sorry. But my thoughts on the game, I thought Bruno was unbelievable today. He was all over the field.
Yeah, brilliant.
He showed leadership. I thought Maguire was immense today. I thought he had a brilliant game. He really was very, very good defensively. And if I was to be critical, which is my kind of want to be, I think our substitutions were way too late. I think that Mata should have been brought off a lot earlier in the game. On about 55 to 60 minutes, the game went flat. It was crying out for a change. I was hoping to see Donny come on instead of Mata. And I thought Martial had a very poor game today. I would have brought on Cavani earlier for him. But, how do you criticise after a 3-1 away win at Everton? It was a great performance. I really think it was an excellent performance. Again, if I'm to be critical, the passing, wayward with the passing. Lindelof particularly wayward with the passing. And Marcus as well. I know Marcus is a young player, but when Marcus learns a bit better decision-making, first touch, first pass, he'll be world-class.
Yeah,
but
agree with
hard
that.
to criticise. I mean, it was a fabulous victory, and this is the roller coaster of being a Man United fan. You go and do brilliantly in the Champions League, you then do pathetically in a couple of games, and you do brilliantly again. So it's the roller coaster we've been on for many seasons now. It's becoming kind of the norm for us. But this was a great game for us.
I think what makes me even more happier is, number one, the fact it was from behind, because it was a quick response as well. I thought we really kicked into gear. Whether it was we needed the wake up call, I'm not sure, but we seemed to kick on once we conceded. And then it's the fact that second half was so scrappy, so it was a lot of 50-50s that we needed to win. It was a lot more physical and aggressive in the second half, and we came through it. I saw your point on Martial. I think that's a good one we need to touch on. What did you make of his performance, Mark? And do you think Cavani now with the goal? I mean, it was a well-taken finish as well. Do you think now he's starting to say, I should be in the team now?
Well, I'm not sure that they're really a comparable striker, to be honest with you. I think that the reason why perhaps Cavani didn't start the game is because he's more of a target man, whereas Martial will hold up the play a little bit better. And I think we needed to do that at the beginning of the game. So I think if it was a different team that maybe we needed to get some balls into the box and for him to be a target man, then he may have started. I think it's a flip of a coin. But I thought that Martial in particular, I mean, I don't want to be too critical of him. We've seen it before with Rooney. We've seen it before with Van Persie. We've seen it with lots of other strikers where they do go through a difficult time and through a run of bad form. And at the moment, the whole team has been going through a very difficult phase. And I think that Martial is a confidence man, and if the team are doing poorly, then he tends to play a bit more poorly. So I think it's very difficult for us to jump on his back, and hopefully he will come through and get more from it. But I think that this is where people's argument about Ollie's tactics, Ollie not having any tactics are incorrect, because I feel like he's set up perfectly today. I was a little bit concerned with Fred and Scott McTominay, but we have seen against PSG, for example, that both of them can play progressive football, and that was really good to see. So I was happy with that. I was a bit worried, but they did really well today. And from Martial's perspective, he'll come good. We know what he's capable of. We know that he's a phenomenal player when he wants to be, and we've seen a lot more of that consistently last year when he was playing as a striker striker in the year with Van Gaal when he was playing as a striker. So that's not going to go. And we've got to look. We're fans. We have to support our players. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face. And I do not want people jumping on his back. So he might not be playing brilliant, but he's coming on and doing okay. And he knows that he's got a lot more to improve on as the season goes on.
Mark, when you say he can be brilliant when he wants to be,
I know.
I would contest and say he should be wanting to be that every minute of every
Absolutely.
game.
You're absolutely right.
I do agree with you. I do agree that Cavani is more of a target man. Cavani needs a supply, whereas Martial is probably a better workhorse. They're very different players.
Yeah, he can make something out of
it. If you give Cavani a sniff
Connie.
of the ball in the box, he's gonna score more often than not. Martial had a very good opportunity in the first half that he put past.
Yes, he should have put that away. And I think last season we would have seen different there. He would have scored.
So,
but I think we might be losing you again.
Well, let's not forget Martial was out for a while. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was.
He
Yeah.
might still have a bit of ring rust.
But he
All right. Yeah.
But
Just
he-
sort your internet out, Barry.
But he did play in the Champions League, so I'm not going to quite give him that excuse. You know, he did have games in between. He was still training with the guys. And yes, he hasn't played in the Premier League until today. But you're absolutely right. And I knew that someone would pinpoint what I just said there, where I said that he's brilliant when he wants to be. And we should see a lot more of that. That's absolutely right. But as we said, we know what he's capable of, and we can't just flippantly say, no, sorry, just because he's had a bad run of form. As I said, we would never have done that against Rooney. We would never have done that against Van Persie because we were winning everything else. Do you know what I mean? We had the players in order to do that.
I think he works very well, you know. I mean, we always highlight that he is good at holding the ball up. And I think that was key to using and getting the best out of Mata and Bruno today. I mean, even Fred, I thought Fred was my man of the match.
He was brilliant.
He was
brilliant.
He was trying things that, you know, only confidence would bring out of him, as we've seen. But that sort of close interlinked play, I mean, if you look at the first goal, it was Fred's pass to Rashford, then back to Bruno, back in. It was, you know, that's how we should be playing.
Yeah.
And that took till about half an hour before we actually woke up.
Right, let's move off from the Martial thing now. Cavani came on and scored his first goal. Joe in the comment has thrown us a very difficult question here. The comments are going off trying to get it right. I don't think anyone's got it so far. Can you name the last striker who scored their first goal for United against Everton? Any ideas? That's a good question, you know. I don't know. I thought it was Van Persie, but he scored his against Fulham the week after, didn't he? Mark's Googling it.
I am Googling it, yep. And I don't know.
The answer's not in the comments. Joe, you're going to have to tell us. Comments, get involved. Let us know what you thought of the game. Let's see if you know the answer to that question. Get your man of the match shouts in as well, because there are a couple you could choose here. I think it's between Maguire, Bruno, and Fred. But yeah, we seem to be in agreement that it's Fred.
Today, with Maguire as well, just an extra point is he looks more assured, as one of my mates said to me earlier, so I have to credit him for this. But he does look more assured when he's against a target man like Calvert-Lewin.
Yes.
And he was brilliant today. Really, really good. Really good.
That's that classic old school centre back versus an old school number 9.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's the physical battle, not the tendency to have to read the play or where he's going to get beaten for pace. So
I think that's why
he held a low line today.
I think that's why Calvert-Lewin sort of aimed toward. I mean, you saw it in the first half. He was trying to aim towards Lindelof, wasn't he? Because he knew Maguire would give him the battle.
He did for the first goal.
Exactly.
He had a big goal ends up, and then defensively they let him go.
Bloody hell, that was the answer.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Was it Falcao?
Yeah, he scored his first goal against it because he had a run of a few games where he didn't score, and then he scored a tap in, basically. I think it was from the left hand side, and that was his first goal. So,
to be honest,
no, he got 2 goals in that game, I think.
Right, so we've got the win here today. So obviously we needed a win. It takes a bit of pressure off Ollie for now. Going forward, then we've got the international break. Probably a good result to get before the international.
Brilliant. Yes, well, we needed that. You know.
What do you think happens after that international break? Because we've got who have we got next? West Brom at home after that, and then we've got Istanbul again. Do you think we can come back and sort of kick on, or do you think it's going to be another case of inconsistencies?
Well, I'm not sure whether a big game would have been better when we came back. You know, West Brom aren't doing great, so
We
imagine
do
the
we do
backward
tend to have
backdraft
a
of a
bit
lot of them.
more. Sorry, Ollie. We do tend to have a bit better record after coming back from an international break,
Yeah.
as opposed to coming back from a European game. So I absolutely agree with you there, Ollie. I think that if we were to come back and play someone of a higher caliber, a bit like Everton, yeah, a bit like Man City, Liverpool, that would have been a perfect opportunity to really hit the ground running, and that might have given us a firmer grip onto getting some sort of consistency going as well. So that it's just a shame that we've played so well and can't get that consistency or
Well,
run of
yeah, but
games.
there is the other benefit of they're going into an international break with a positive mindset. Rather than say the abject performance against Başakşehir. Imagine if we'd have been on like a 2-week break. Then, I mean, I wouldn't want to be a player's head there, but I can't imagine it would have been a healthy headspace.
Of course not.
Come back and hit the ground running. But I think it was a good team performance. And, I think it did sort of rally around the campfire today. I think you could see that from getting that extra half a yard, not sitting back and going, someone else will cover, or a lack of confidence. Everyone seemed to be playing with a bit more confidence today. And as you said, Scarth, going one down, and it wasn't heads down. It wasn't shouting between each other. There was a bit of camaraderie, when Lindelof passed back to De Gea. And it was like,
It's a bit more of what we saw after Project Restart. Sorry, Ollie. It's a bit more like we saw after Project Restart, really. We went 1-0 down against Bournemouth and maybe one or two other games, and we were able to jump back from that, and it really did kick us into life. Now, whilst you don't want that, you want to start the game well and score early. But it was good to see that. We need to see more of that, and that's exactly what Fergie would have brought to the table.
Oh, of course. So looking at the bigger picture now. So we've got this win, obviously international break, and then after that, hopefully we can kick on. But bigger picture, we're not getting carried away. I'm usually the one that sends us off on a party, but I'm not going to today because there is a bigger picture. Because I'm starting to think, Ollie is really starting to struggle a little bit. But today, again, away from home, the record's still going. I'd love to hear what you two think, because obviously I was on the podcast with Joe and Barry in midweek, and we discussed Ollie and his potential future at the club. I want to see what you two think of this. I'll go to Ollie first. Does this result give him a bit more time, or do you think? Because I'm gonna before you answer, I'm gonna tell you the run of fixtures we've got next after the international break. Got West Brom at home, then Istanbul, and then an informed Southampton away, PSG at home, a decent-looking West Ham at home, Leipzig away, City at home, Sheffield away, and then Leeds at home before we face Everton again in the cup. So it's not exactly the easiest run when we come back. How long do you think we give Ollie in that period, or do you think we could see him go in the next 3-4 weeks?
To be honest with you, it would not surprise me. Sadly, as I said, I love him as a club legend. Whether or not the decision was made during the international break to give them a bit of time for someone to come in. That's the logical, mature way of looking at it. We'll take the red tinted glasses off. As for the run of games, let's say that doesn't happen. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but if it does, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel if we get another win against Istanbul, we've qualified. If you think about it, 9 points, that's enough to get second at very least, if not getting a draw against PSG or Leipzig. There is a few games that we should be winning there, but then again, it's not as simple as that. Since there has been no fans, there's been some very odd results. So I think we need a little bit of luck. For me, I think he went with his favoured, like when things aren't going well in a game, he tends to drop for Fred and McTominay, and I think it worked today. But as we've seen recently, when he's tried to change it up, it's not really worked very well. For me, I mean, it worked brilliantly today because Fred was on song. Bruno was firing, everyone was at it. But I just feel if he'd have had Pogba on, which a good manager should be able to get the best out of the squad that he's got. And we have got some world-class talents. If you looked at that bench today, who did we have? Pogba, Van der Beek, Cavani, Tuanzebe. I'll give him his due for that subs today. I mean, he did that well. But my two sort of bugbears were his in-game management which, we did quite well today with his timing of his subs. They were a bit late for Pogba and Cavani, but it worked up until then, so it didn't need changing. It was when people looked leggy. Now, we have criticised him in the past for that, but Tuanzebe was, it was a very, very clever sub, because Iwobi is literally there being a pace merchant, and he was just, marked out the game. So, yeah, it's positives on that. But if we actually look at it, I think he just went for Fred and McTominay because he knew it's a solid base.
Chores up the defence, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it could have been quite easily a 0-0, like a Chelsea game today. Luckily for bits of brilliance, I mean, as we say, that sort of wake-up call at the half-hour mark with the quick passing created a beautiful passage of play that resulted in the goal. But, I'm not sure that's my favourite formation, and I think we all said it before the game that we knew we was going to play Fred and McTominay because that's who he trusts, maybe. But it is a little bit stale for me, and I wonder if someone could possibly get a lot more out of these players.
Okay, we've got Barry back in a very nice-looking office. Barry, we're talking about the fixtures we've got after the international break. We've got a couple of games we should be winning, a couple of games that look a bit tough. Do you think that Ollie sees them out, or do you think we could see him go either in the international break or just after?
I think he sees them out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think he sees them out. I think that the owners and the board are not looking to squander more millions on terminating somebody's contract. I think that they've come in for so much criticism that they want to possibly ride off the coattails of this victory. So I don't expect him to be sacked in the morning, as probably the opposition supporters would have been chanting had supporters been allowed in the stadium. I think he'll get a stay of execution. And of course, supporters are fickle people. So everybody will extol his virtues as to that tactically he got it correct today. I think that what got it correct today is that players stepped up to the plate and they committed themselves with a lot more heart than they did certainly in the last couple of games. That's for sure. And I do think he set the game up today not to lose, as opposed rather to win, with his two holding midfielders. So he got it right. And, we're a fickle bunch. You get it right, you extol the manager. You get it wrong, we say he got the tactics wrong. What was very amusing on our television screens over here, we unfortunately are afflicted with Jim Beglin as giving the comments. And he is absolutely awful. And he made a comment that the game in Turkey, he thought David De Gea was at fault for not marshalling his defence, getting them back for that first goal that we conceded, with, of course, Dean Henderson having been in goals. Deal with on the television screens here. He also felt that Maguire should have been red carded today for winning the ball against Lucas Dean. And I don't know if we've touched on it, and I'm sorry if I'm digressing. I thought we had a stonewall penalty for Pickford on Maguire.
Yeah.
Well, if you see it before, was there a foul just before that when he ushered him out? That's why I think that wasn't given.
Right.
But any other day,
swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's one of those.
So Jim, if you're watching, don't upset Barry again and step it up, please.
Because Jim Beglin's watching All for United right now.
I wish Jim was watching. Jim has taken himself off of Twitter because he got so many bad comments from so many of us.
Really? Oh,
rightly so.
Yeah.
I'd like to address one of these comments. Ben Hodgson. I understand your point. That is a good point. But then you make a sensible point and then you say something like this. Back it up with something. Come on. Let's have a discussion. Because you make a good point there with give him 2 weeks, but why do you want him out? He's just commenting Ollie out 3-4 times. Look, we're on this channel. We're going to be balanced. We're going to listen to both sides of the argument. Even though I don't think it should be an Ollie in, Ollie out thing, I'll hear your opinion, but have a decent discussion about it.
Yeah, have some conviction behind it. I don't think there's.
I don't know if I'm repeating what the others have said, and I apologise for the poor internet. We had bad weather here.
That's all right.
I just think that tactically, in that first half of the second half, he didn't react. It's a time that we could have consolidated and really sewn up the game. And instead, he let Everton come on at us. And there were a couple of anxious moments. That is the time. And he seems to delay these substitutions, I think, way too late in the game.
Well, that's a Sir Alex Ferguson mirror, isn't it? Although usually we were in a better position when
this is it, isn't it?
Yeah. And he doesn't seem to be reacting. If it's not working in the first half an hour, there isn't that change, even if it's a subtle, maybe moving someone back further down the pitch, change around positions. He doesn't tend to like to do that. I don't know whether that's, a lack of conviction in his formation or something, but
that's a fair point.
Today, you've got to give him it. I thought they were, slightly late, but, we all said that before. That's a bugbear of mine. I think the Tuanzebe Luke Shaw substitute was around the 60-minute mark.
Something like that.
Just after,
that was clever. And you
but that was a forced start. Shaw was injured. It was a forced substitute.
Yeah, it was.
Was it forced?
It was. I think it was. Yeah, well, I think he had a knock or something, and that's why. But that again, that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Hello.
Yeah.
But this idea that it was only a counter-attacking performance, it's silly because the third goal was the only counter-attacking goal we scored.
Well, yes, but if Rashford had, as we said, reflecting on Rashford's decision-making, when we saw them break like the red arrows and flying up the pitch, it was glorious to watch. Everyone got genuinely excited, and then not a lot came from it. Sadly.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest with Rashford, as Barry says, we're very fickle fans, and only a couple of weeks ago we were really applauding him for how wonderful he was doing. Now, you've got to remember, Martial hasn't been playing games, we've already said. Cavani hasn't quite hit the ground running yet. So we have been hugely reliant on Rashford. I said this against PSG. His decision-making in the final third sometimes is definitely something he needs to work on. But he's still only 22. We've been very reliant upon him in the last few weeks. So he's probably knackered. So that's fine. We've still won the game 3-1. And you know what? If he had made a couple of those decisions that would have been in a positive way, we might have won 5-1. Do you know what I mean? So let's not get on him too much. People are bound to make mistakes, and he's probably absolutely knackered. So I think we can give him a little bit of leeway.
Fair comment.
I think this is a good question. Where was Greenwood? I think that might be a little bit of
that's the $100 million question.
I think that's a disciplinary thing.
You reckon it is? I've read
his Icelandic girlfriend today.
Yeah, probably. I think I read in a couple of places that he's picked up a knock. And I don't want to,
isn't it?
Maybe. Listen. I don't want to sound controversial. The other week when he made a mistake, we were getting on everyone's back for him being young and people make mistakes. So again, I want to try and be true to that and say that if he's made another mistake and there is a bit of disciplinary there, the club will deal with that. We don't have to worry about that. Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad it's going on behind the scenes. Also, Drew, what are you on about? We've just been praising him for an entire game. We've just been praising him. Enough of that. Right, to wrap it up then, I'm going to go around to each of you. I'm pretty sure what the answer is going to be on all three of you. But I'll give you about 30 seconds. Let's go through your man of the matches. Ollie, I will go to you first. Man of the match.
Fred, for me. I think he had to work that little bit extra to show that bit of quality through the middle in what was a very combative midfield for Everton. And I think he did brilliantly. Most of the good stuff that we did began with him, whether it was recovery or just picking out a pass, simple as it might have been. It was the quick transition which came from him that started all the sort of positive play that I saw in the first half. But then in the second half, he still looked like he had plenty left in the tank. And for me, he looked like a world-class player today. It's just a shame that we can't get him in with other quality players because I'm not sure he could do that role as a CDM on his own. But with McTominay there to do the simple stuff and just sweep up behind him, I thought he was fantastic today and definitely my man of the match.
The dog agrees. We'll go to Barry next. Barry, next, your man of the match.
Man of the match for me was Bruno. He scored 2. He made the 3rd. He was all over the pitch and he was aggressive today. He made a lot of tackles. He wasn't scared to mix it with the likes of Sigurdsson, Coleman, all over the place. for me today, that was a captain's performance from Bruno. And when he's on song, the team is on song. There were other players. I would give Maguire a mention as well because he was very solid at the back. Yes, one of Fred's better games, but Bruno, for me, head and shoulders man of the match.
Fair play. Before I go to Mark, is Fred's family in the chat or something? What is going on? Why is everyone Why is everyone calling us cheeky YouTubers and defending Fred? We're all claiming he's played well. One of them just named him man of the match. Anyway, go on, Mark. I better know who your man of the match is.
Yeah, it could have been a plethora of players today, to be honest. I thought Luke Shaw was brilliant. Shame he got that knock. Maguire was brilliant. Bruno was good. Now, the reason why I'm going to give it to Fred is because I feel that Bruno, there was still a couple of occasions, I think even Steve McManaman, who I definitely don't agree with very much, he even said himself that he made a few mistakes and wayward passes. Now, I know people are going to do that in games, and I appreciate that someone like him is going to take more of a risk in these games, and therefore you are more prone to those errors. But for me, because of those reasons, I'm going to give it to Fred because I think he was brilliant today. He didn't really have too much wayward passing, and I just remember in particular points where he lost the ball or someone lost the ball, and he just was charging at the players in order to get it back. And the amount of times he won that back to stop any attack, stop any anxiety on and conceding a goal was just brilliant. And again, we've always moaned at him for perhaps not being too progressive going forward, but again, he was the catalyst today to get some of those wonderful balls forward. It's just a shame Rashford's goal didn't go in, because that ball to him there was brilliant. And for me, it's always those players that don't tend to score goals but do a lot of work off the ball and running around and all that. And for me, he epitomised that today, and he was brilliant. So that's who I'm for me.
Yep, my man of the match. I'm going to give it to Fred because he was fantastic. I think his energy next to none. He's one of my favourite players.
And all three of you are wrong. Thank you.
It could have been Bruno. It could have been Bruno. He was brilliant.
Barry.
I'll answer this question. Luke Shaw was quite good, and it's quite annoying because I cannot say anything bad about him for the last 5 games. And I'll answer the next bit. Tellers does not walk into his position. He has to earn it, unfortunately.
Yeah,
if that's what you want. I don't care. It's good. That's what I want. Closing thoughts then. United were good, I thought. We took a while to get into the game. The early mistake from Lindelof, I think, was shocking. And then I was quite frustrated. But then we seemed to switch on. United kicked into gear. And we really... Bloody hell, Doc's gone green. I'll remove him for now. So we kicked into gear. We really started to play some good stuff. And then we came back from behind, which we don't do a lot of times these days. It was nice to see us respond. It was nice to see us fight through that second half, which was scrappy, aggressive, really physical. And I really enjoyed the performance. Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Bruno, Fred, all of those could have been man of the match.
Yeah.
And altogether, it was a very good performance that does ease pressure from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. As I said at the start of the show, once again, back against the wall, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and he keeps his job. Pochettino must be somewhere crying. And on that note, make sure to leave a like on the video. Make sure to comment who your man of the match was. And make sure to subscribe to All for United, because over the international break, I'm sure there will be loads and loads of content. And for now, until next time, we might win the Champions League, and I will see you next time in a bit.